Welcome back. Let's continue with our Access database. The last time we actually created three tables and then three forms, and we entered data with a form. So these were the tables. We created the customer table, we entered data into it. Then the orders table, the salesman table, we entered more data into it. And then these were the forms we created. Alright, so we created three forms as well. Okay, so let me uh, perhaps redesign the forms a bit before we establish relationships. I'm not particularly impressed with the forms. Yeah, but the other thing you should understand is that the forms have they have two functions. One of the functions is to display whatever you have in your database table, and the other function is to um, enter data or input data into your tables. Okay, so you can see at the moment uh, after opening the salesman form, the data in the salesman is displayed. So you can actually use this navigation arrow to move from one record to the other. Yeah, so we have four records at the moment. So let's navigate. Yeah, and then you can actually search as well. So there are options for you to you can use this find, and then you can actually input whatever ID you want to find, and then you can search it as well. All right, so let's get back to the layout view. Okay, so this is the layout view, and I'm going to change the back color. I don't like it, so let's change the background color here. So you can always use the home tab, and then um, you will easily find the colors. Okay, so let's probably change the text color as well. White is not ideal. Okay, and then this one as well. So let's change it to okay, black. Yeah, so let's change it to black, and perhaps the font. Okay, perhaps this is okay for me now. And then the top part here, let me use the light blue. I think this is too deep. So you can always customize, yeah, because the appearance of your form is important. Yeah, it has an impact on the user, so you want it to really appear nice. Okay, so this is the new view of our salesman form. Okay, so let me go to create relationships, and to do that, let's go to the menu tab and we'll look for database tools. All right, so we'll look for the relationship um, section in the ribbon, and then it is here. So we are interested in this relationship. All right, so they'll give you a pop-up window with all the tables you have. So we have three tables: customers, orders, and salesmen. So you simply going to use this add button here to add them to the platform. All right, so you should select before you add. Okay, you can see that I've added only customer table three times. That is not needed, so let me I'll delete them later on, but let me add the orders table as well. Then I'll select the salesman table and I'll add it. And the other thing is that I think you can also just take it, drag it and drop. Okay, let's see whether the drag and drop is working. All right, so apparently that is not working. Yeah, but the other drag and drop you can do, I think you can drag and drop them from here. Okay, yeah, you can drag and drop them. So you pick it from the navigation pane. So let me delete um, the tables, some of them. Okay, I can delete everything, and then we'll just drag them and drop them. Okay. So once you get to the database tools, you can go to relationships. So relationships is open already. Let me repeat that process. Okay. So close the form. Yeah. So the one has to save it. Okay. I think if you have to create relationships, it's even better you close everything. Once you are not using it, just close them. All right. So let's go towards the menu bar here. You look for database tools, then you go for relationships, and then once it's open, yeah, normally they'll give you a pop-up window, but in case they don't give you, because this is my second time, you can simply drag and drop them here. Okay, so let's see, database tools, relationships. Yeah, so we're going to use the tables. We drag them and drop them. So we have three tables. You just pick them and drop them. All right. So here you can rearrange them, and then we begin to establish relationships. Okay. So to establish relationships, there is one thing you should note. You need to have what we call the foreign key, and the foreign key in this case is a key that is common to two or more tables. So if you are going to build a relationship between customers table and the orders table, there should be a field that is common to both tables. So let's look at the customer table. The fields are customer ID, customer name, city, salesman ID. Then let's go to the orders table. We have what order number, purchase amount, order date, salesman ID, and customer ID. So customer ID is both in the orders table and the salesman sorry, the customers table. So in this case, we can say that the customer ID in the orders table is a foreign key. Yeah, it's a foreign key because it is common to these two tables. Okay, and to establish the relationship, you use the foreign key to establish it. So when we're creating the table, intentionally we added the foreign key. Yeah, because we created the customers table, then we knew that we'll be using customer ID as a foreign key to build a relationship between yeah, customers and orders. So we also added the customer ID to the orders table. So that was what we did. And then you can even see that salesman ID is also in orders table and it's in salesman table. So that means that salesman ID is also a foreign key in orders table. Okay, so let's begin the relationship. So you simply pick the customer ID from the orders table, and then you drop it on the customer ID in the uh, orders table. So yeah, so once you drop it, it will give you some dialog box asking you whether you want to enforce referential integrity. Yeah, so referential integrity means that yeah, the data will have to be consistent. So normally when we create relationships, the tables are of different ranks. Yeah, so or in other words, some tables are subordinate to other tables. So you don't have the table, yeah, in a relationship having the same rank or hierarchy. Yes, some tables should be subordinate to other tables. Or we can say some tables are parent tables and then other tables are child tables. Yeah, so logically, at times you realize that if some tables don't exist, other tables cannot exist. So for instance, let's say if you don't have a customer, perhaps, I mean, you can have a customer making an order. So it means the orders table will only exist if you have customers. So it means the orders table will be subordinate to the customer table. Yeah, let me use even a more simple example. Let's say we are creating a database for students. So the entities will be students, and then we'll have another entity exam. So we use these entities to create tables. And these tables, one table should be subordinate to the other. So given the two tables, the student table and the exam table, which one should be subordinate to the other? The one that should be subordinate should be the one that depend on the other to exist. Or let me put it this way. Yeah. If a table existence depends on another table, and if you are to establish a relation, the one that is dependent on the other to exist will be the subordinate table. Yeah. So it means if you don't have a student, you can have exam. Yeah, a student that should sit for exam for you to have what exam records. So if you don't have students, you can't really have what students sitting for an exam. All right. So the same thing. If you don't have customers, you can what have orders. All right. So let's enforce referential integrity. So if we enforce referential integrity, it means that anytime you delete a customer, then that customer record will be deleted. Or anytime you update customer information, then the corresponding information in the what orders table will also be what affected. So that is the meaning of what referential integrity. You are just trying to ensure integrity in your database table relationships. So let's hit referential integrity, and then you'll be asked whether you want to use what cascade update and then cascade delete. Yeah, so cascade update means um, it cuts across the two tables. Yeah, so it's in a cascading manner. So it is sort of cutting across. Okay, so let's hit cascade delete and cascade update. All right, so we'll hit create. So they are telling us that relationship must not be on the same number of fields with the same what data type. So it means there are some issues with our data types. When we were creating the data types, so we should make sure that we use similar data types. So I believe that can be the case. So if that is the case, we don't have to have enforced referential integrity. If you are going to enforce referential integrity, then it's really going to ensure yeah, strict standards. Okay, so let's hit create. So once we remove the referential integrity, it's allowing us to create our relationship. So you can see there is a relationship already between the two tables. Now let's use the foreign key in the salesman table, and then the customers table to create another relationship. So I'll just say salesman ID. I'll drop it on salesman. Yeah. So let me try to enforce referential integrity once more. If it is giving us trouble, then what? Okay. Yeah. So once we've entered data, referential integrity will be giving us issues, and then we should pay attention to what the data types. If you are going to create relationships in future, the data type should be consistent with similar what fields. All right, so let's simply create it. So we have what our second relationship here. All right, so we also have salesman ID here, so we can create another what relationship with the orders table. So let me pick it, drag it, and drop it. Okay, so let's create. So now we have what relationships between our tables. Yeah. All right, let me rearrange it well. Okay. All right, so I think this is the relationship we have between our tables. All right, so you can always rearrange it. Yeah, the arrangement doesn't really matter. The important thing is that you have those relationships. Yeah, so with these relationships at the background, it means that you can actually stay in one table and you fetch data from another table easily with these relationships established. So that is how to establish relationships between the tables. Okay, so let's hit yes to save changes. So now we have our relationship. So it means we can go back to our forms, and then our tables are now related. And then if we are entering data, uh, then we can later on create queries and be able to use the queries to extract some data across related tables. Okay, so let me just create one query before we end this video as well, so that later on when we come, we'll enter more data. That will be in the third session. We'll enter more data, and then we can create reports. So we'll create reports at the last after we've entered a lot of data. So let's go to the create tab. We'll look for the query wizard. Yeah, so we have the query design query wizard here. All right, so let's hit OK, and then what query do we want to create? So you can always select the table here, and then the query. So we are creating a query. We want the customer ID, the customer name. Maybe let's don't take let's remove the customer ID and just use the customer name, the city. All right, so now let's go for salesman, and then no, let's go for orders before. So the amount, yeah, let's add the order number, the amount, and then the order date. Okay, so let's add a salesman, because there will be a salesman in charge of the order. So we'll simply bring out the salesman name, and then the salesman phone number, and the commission. All right, so this could be a query we are creating. Yeah, so we will hit next, and then let's hit finish. Okay, so the wizard is unable to open the query. So the data in the data sheet view. Okay. Right. So our tables have opened. Yeah, but our query has been created. So when you go to let me close these other forms, and then you can see that we have a new object under query. So this is the query we've created, customer query. So the moment you click on it, right, we have some issues with the query, so I'll have to check it later. Oh, okay.